Can you hear me in the virtual audience? Yeah. And Victoria. This. He's on God. River. He's got a place up by there too. Hello, testing. You can hear me. Yeah. No, they were jumping though. It was Eric's number, 262 number. And Northern Cities in 414 number here. What there's is here. 7. Yeah. Sounds like that's it. Texas. Adams are here. Yeah. So we're suspicion of something else. You can say when they oh yeah. 15. Awesome. They're trying to write the so we're dancing 20 minutes less than the month. Okay. Wow. Yeah, not 550, but 5 muskies. Yes.
Hello? Hello?
The person you are trying to reach is currently after the tone. When you have finished, please hang up or press the pound key for more options.
Sorry about that. That's weird.
Good evening. My name is Wayne Clark. I'll be chairing tonight's meeting. Mayor has a conflict, and I will call this meeting of the Plan Commission August 26th version to order. Next item will be a roll call, please.
Wayne Clark.
Yes.
Brian Frank.
Here.
Brandon Reinke.
Here.
Kathleen Dagenhart.
Here.
Lisa Coons. Eric Torkelson. Waiting in the lobby. Eric, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Okay,
Perfect.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, that was a little something, huh?
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for allowing the virtual here.
We have a quorum. Thank you. We'll move forward to number C, which is approval of the minutes, the July 22nd meeting.
Move to approve.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any corrections or additions? Those in favor?
Hi.
One, go on to new and previous matters. 26-0400 concept review for next phase of Alice Yards within the 70th Street corridor by Cobalt Group. Who's got that?
I'll take that one. Wayne.
Steve.
There's going to be a presentation this evening from someone from the Cobalt Group, possibly Scott Young. I didn't see him in the lobby, but I think Patrick's trying to call him. He's traveling right now, but he wanted to give a presentation of his concept for the 70th Street corridor. We can certainly come back to it later while why don't we, I may just suggest we move ahead to the next item and we'll come back once Scott's available.
All right, thank you. We'll go on to 3A and 3B. Conditional use permit for Valenti's Auto Repair Inc., a proposed light motor vehicle service use at 11016 West Beecher. Should we take 3A and 3B together? And Jack, you got it?
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As you said, this is for Valenti's Mobile Auto Repair on the city's west side.
This is an existing mobile auto repair business in the Milwaukee area, bringing their operations to this location on Beecher Street. This is a bit different than typical light motor vehicle service uses. However, they are operating on several vehicles per week on site, so this warrants the conditional use permit. Essentially, their services include servicing for commercial fleet vehicles that they use this as a base for their operations, and then they move out off-site and fix those vehicles at different locations. No walk-in customers or retail components part of this. Most repair work is done off-site, but for those instances where repairs will be on-site, this will be several times a week, and vehicles will be towed in as needed. Hours of operation are Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m., and closed on weekends and holidays. This property is zoned I-1, which warrants the conditional use permit for the light motor vehicle service use. There's an existing plan on file from 2016. There are no changes proposed as the operations are purely internal, and then the operating that base. And then there is some storage of vehicles on site. However, they will not be stored overnight. We are just requesting details shown on the plan to show that location of vehicles during those daytime operations. The applicant's been very responsive working with us, so we expect those details just over email. We can provide updates. No changes are proposed to existing architecture on the site, and generally the building is in good condition, last receiving updates in 2016. The recommendation for this project is an approval before the plan commit for the common council for the conditional use permit, subject to common council approval. Scope of work being indicated for any signage or lighting. Business occupancy permit being applied for and secured. They've since applied. They're just going through the occupancy process now. And any outdoor storage or vehicle staging being shown on the site plan for review. Any questions, please let us know. Thanks.
Any questions for Jack? Is there a motion?
Motion to approve?
Vehicles will be just, they're not gonna be stored overnight at all.
No, based on what the applicant said, it's not an overnight type of use. Is the applicant here at all to answer any questions?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah,
If you'd like to speak more.
Yeah, so as far as that, to what he said, we only deal with commercial accounts. And if the storage, like there'll be no storage in front of the building. There's gonna be cars that obviously are in our shop overnight. But as far as the work done outside, nothing will be worked on outside that won't be pulled in. So for example, like if a tow truck drops a truck off in the back of the shop.
Yeah.
It might be there for a couple hours until we get it into the shop, but as far as storage, long-term, there's nothing in front or behind the building.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. Any further discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. We move on, and we move now back to number 2. Is that correct?
Yes.
We'll step back to the concept review for next phase of Alice Yards within the 70th Street corridor by Cobalt Group. Taking that, Steve?
Yes, and Scott Young, who would join us here, is here this evening, and he's going to give a presentation of his concept for the 70th Street corridor. This is an area that's seen a tremendous amount of redevelopment over the past couple of decades, with the change with Alice Chalmers leaving the city, demolition of the East Office buildings, Windmill Summit converting parts of old Alice Chalmers to office. Been a tremendous amount of new residential within this area with the AP area, about 250 units, over a $50 million project, as well as renovations of the former office buildings, executive office buildings of Alice Chalmers, with the 7-story office building, which was renovated by Cobalt, as well as the Gage and the gathering space. So all around this hub of 70th Street corridor, you've got a little bit of everything. Businesses, office, new residential, MATC Technical College. It's in between the North City limits where the Hank Aaron State Trail is, and Greenfield Avenue, our city's downtown town center located. So quite a bit of redevelopment over the years. This proposal basically represents the development of these areas are the areas which are being considered. And I'll turn it over to Scott shortly here, but we're taking a look at revamping and surface parking along the corner of 70th and Washington Street, which is currently, some of which is under the control of MATC. By evidence of the pictures here, and not sure exactly when this photo was taken, but if you look at different Google images, the parking lots there really aren't full of students going to school at MATC. There's a lot of online school. So there is a partnership we hope to develop. I mean, with the developer hopes to develop with MATC and moving forward sort of to potentially assemble some land, gain more control of that to create what Scott's going to present to us this evening. So this is a 30,000-foot view. And by no means is this anywhere near approval at this point. So we're just bringing it forward this evening for presentation and discussion purposes. And as things gain traction, if they gain traction, as something gains traction here, we're going to bring that back before Plan Commission, the CDA, and County Council. So Scott, I'll turn it over to you.
Sure. Do you want me?
Yeah, go for it. Come on. Yep. However you want to clear slides. However you want.
Okay, whatever. You're all sitting. Apologize, I was late. When Patrick insisted I was in Glacier National Park this morning, and now I'm here, so when Patrick calls, you gotta jump. So good evening, Scott Yao, Cobalt Partners. We undertook this project, in partnership with the city around 2019, and as some of you may recall, we did, instead of a groundbreaking, we did a demolition party it was late January of 2020. It started the demolition of the building that was the 1126 building, which was the large building that was about 20% occupied. It was owned by a Chinese-based company, so there wasn't a lot of tie to the area. My grandfather had worked in that building for 42 years, so there's a lot of history, at least in my family as well, relative to that site. We had planned 2 timber office buildings at the time. Summit Place then was about 98% occupied, so there was a lot of demand. And a lot of people said, that's a great idea. We literally, COVID officially kicked off from around March, but things were actually happening in late January. So it was probably a week or 2 after we had that party that COVID was starting to, become what it became and ultimately disrupted the office market. So we really pivoted from that. So the whole plan from a campus that was more focused at the time around office and education and other things that evolved. And we worked with the city on what is now the Home2 Suites Hotel, and there was a city guarantee that was part of the deal that finally burned off. Patrick's very happy about that. And we worked through about 30 plus lenders in 2021 to get a hotel built. It was a challenging time to do that. The hotel's performed very well. We're really pleased with what's going on there, and it's a great amenity, I think, for the area. For the Gage, we developed that space in partnership with the Timber family, who owns and operated Double B's. That's changed in the last couple months, but so they're involved with us there. So, and then at the time, I'd say we probably Ian Martin had left Mandel Group and was looking for a project, and maybe our bandwidth at the time wasn't totally focused here. So we got together with Ian, and the apiary was kind of the result of that. It's been a spectacular project. I think the design of that building is one of the best I've seen. I've called Ian a lot and told him I think it looks great how it's set up when you look kind of to the east with that kind of connection between sort of our 2 separate buildings with that connection. So it's really, I think, brought this corridor to life. So yeah, you can kind of see the overview of what's there. So we've then thought about what does this next phase look like as we've evolved from the original vision to what you'll see today. And so we put this together to give more of a conceptual vision. There's a lot of pieces, as Steve mentioned. MATC, we've worked with MATC over the last, sorry about that, probably 6 or 7 years, well, probably since the inception. And probably on 3 different occasions, they've started a new 5-year plan. So maybe probably 15 years of planning in 7 years. But we were close on these parking lots. And can you go back to that slide, Steve? We should have that one. What's key here, and I don't want to misrepresent anything about MATC. We've had lots of meetings. They're very cooperative, but there's been no agreement put together. So I don't want to state anything publicly would be inconsistent with that. But the one with the parcels, maybe, it was one of yours. Yeah. You had them all last there.
Can you go back? You had one more where they were outlined, I think, of the ownership.
There we go.
Yeah, so can you point to those somehow? They're just the two, they have in the lower, southeast corner, they've got, yeah, they own that parcel, which is only 3 rows of parking, and then they own the one to the west of that right there, which, again, as Steve mentioned, are not highly utilized. We were close to an agreement to swap some of the parking. If you probably can't see it, but below there's a parking lot that they own on the corner immediately below that, which is adjacent to our 1135 building. And then we own the parking lot that's adjacent to MATC. So even intuitively, it doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. So we've worked through possibilities over the years, but we think by coming forward with a conceptual plan now that would create some end goal and track, direction, along with some direction from the city that hopefully is supportive of this, we could have some more meaningful meetings with them and kind of come to an agreement that would work. So they're certainly amenable to it, but they want to make sure it fits in with the master plan. Okay, we don't care. And then really what we've looked at is what, this should become. These are a lot of, gotta catch up, right? Sure. A lot of these are images. We have a video that goes with this too, that we could show you, but these are really images out of the video. You'll see we put some branding for MATC on the 1205 building. Just ultimately, I think they'd like more presence, even just from a branding perspective. They're kind of tucked in the back and, some people know they're back there, some don't, but they're up against a residential neighborhood. So bringing them out to 70th Street is one of the goals, I think, in connection with this. If you want to just go through, well, I'll just comment. Yeah, let's do that. This way. Yeah, let's do that. So I'll start with the bubble up on the left, which there was some interest on the city's part, I know, and I think even in the market for sure, to create a product that might be more townhouse, maybe it's garden style, it's maybe owner occupied condo type product. There's a lot of demand for that. As we all know, it's been expensive to develop, single family, even condo housing, getting it to an affordable price point in the market. But the idea there would be a nice transition into the neighborhood at 72nd Street. So we're looking at something along those lines. The bubble in the lower left, like I said, is just some branding with MATC on the 1205 building. If I work around, I guess, counterclockwise on the lower right, that could be a potential expansion of the apiary on that parcel right now. It was set up that could be accommodated. There's no agreement right now to do that, but I think they're probably interested. Be something really strong at the apiary, very strong. So I think that's really positive. And then the bubble up at the upper right is just showing some of the existing. That's the 1135 building where the gauge and then the gathering spaces are in some other offices. The next one. Yeah. Again, some images, again, showing what's there in the upper left, again, is just another shot of what those potential townhouse and hopefully condos, if that could work, might look like. An image of the gauge below that, MATC, just showing some of the existing, the home 2 suites on the lower right, apiaries are making their way up. And then the last one, we'll have other images of potential buildings along the west side of 70th Street at Washington. Next one. Again, just some images down the street of what this might look like. These are, again, just more conceptual imagery right now. Currently the gauge. We showed maybe some branding on the building. We've talked in the past about doing some kind of murals on the building. Yeah. It's in the woods for too long. God, I'm sorry about that.
You back?
Yeah, that's really good. I'll silence that. This is a shot looking south on 70th Street. So that is the apiary to the right. And then again, on the left, which would be the west side of the street, potentially. Some element, we think there's some demand for retail and it could be mixed use with housing above. And all that I think is still to be determined, as is the balance of this, but at least just creating some concepts here. This is looking now, I'm sorry, that was northbound. This is looking south. So again, on the left, you see the apiary. And then on the right could be some new buildings on that parcel where the parking lots are today. Just some more images. This is looking to the apiary from, this is west looking to the east. Then back to maybe just another aerial type image. There's a lot to happen yet. And what the right densities are and so forth. We think the demand is there for this number of housing units, and I know there's, I think there's demand in the market for a condo type product, whether the price points can be where they want and so forth, we can figure out. The city's always been good to work with on figuring out kind of public-private structures that could make these things come together. There could be other interest in another hotel potentially. There could be we've seen some element of office interest, so there could be other things that are part of this. I think in the past, I think there's been encouragement from the city. Patrick's mentioned that densities and heights aren't real issues here. So maybe there's ways to create other density and create other things on that western parking lot parcel. So, there's a lot more to do here yet in terms of what the final vision is. The other consideration we have to keep in mind is we do need to maintain the required parking for those office buildings on 70th Street on the west side. So we can't simply put buildings on all the parking and lose the parking. I think it's not public, the fact that the welding school at MATC will probably be moving at some point, and that's been, I think, in the works for a while. So that could happen. Again, there's nothing firm yet, but that's been a discussion for a long time. So that could free up some additional parking. And we've had those kind of conversations with MATC. So, we'd have to solve for the parking, but I think that's all doable here. There's a lot of increment potential. Our view is this quarter, I think 6 points and 70th Street are really some of the great areas for the city. And this kind of helps stimulate, further development on Greenfield Avenue. But I think within the city, this is really an exciting area, a lot going on. So, we look for any thoughts or feedback on this right now. And as we continue to formulate this and then the goal of having a meeting with MATC along with the city to try to start to push some of this forward. So glad to answer questions or take comments.
Thank you, Scott. A couple of questions. One would be, there are a lot of moving parts here, and taking the lead from a timing standpoint, when do you think that something might come together and working with other partners?
Well, I think the biggest lead time issue is really the MATC parking, and we have worked on that for many, many years. We've come close, and I think though it was always either it was COVID or some changes in their leadership that then caused them to want to pause and look at strategic planning. They've got new leadership and we've had good dialogue with them, so it really depends a little bit on that. I mean, we can work around those parking lots if we want to. It's not that we couldn't, but it would compromise the plan a bit. One of the other things, and I'll get to a more precise, concise answer in a second. We could, the corner where they keep pointing to the lower part of the townhouse. Yeah. We own that land. We could potentially phase that and make that available for MATC for parking until they, even on a temporary basis, where they free up the front so we can start developing that. So there's ways to do that. So all that said, I would think that there's no reason we couldn't start a project by, the second quarter of next year. And there may be 3 or 4 projects that are part of this ultimately. I mean, there could be redevelopment of the east of the apiary, could be development on 72nd Street, would be a separate project. 1 or 2 projects potentially on 70th on the west side as well. So I could see this being, 4 different projects, and certainly 1 or 2 of those could start by the second quarter next year. Again, depending on MATC, but I think there's ways to even work around that where we could keep that going. So.
Are you currently in discussions with MATC, or are you?
They've been ongoing? Yeah, well, continually. I mean, I have had at least 3 in the last year, and we've had sit-down meetings with their leadership. I mean, they're willing to engage, they're willing to have conversations. Their issue is just, they're going through this whole planning, and it's not simply real estate, it's their curriculum. So they say, they have some, I may be wrong, but the number was something over 1,000 different course offerings. And some of those aren't relevant anymore or don't make economic sense. So they wanted to rationalize what those are, then decide what campuses those belong at, then they figure out their facilities needs. So there's this whole process before they get to the real estate decision. So it's kind of the last step in the process. But they've been doing that, they've been undergoing that effort now for probably about a year. So I think they should be close to the point. So I think the timing's good to have a meeting. And I think if the goal to bring this forward now was to get some, hopefully some support from the city, that then would allow us with the city together to sit down and meet with them. And I think that's the best way to do it.
Thank you. Colleagues, questions for Scott? Eric, how about you?
No, nothing at this time.
I think, from the development perspective, we continue to appreciate Scott's, vision and broad, the broad vision. I think there's, like he said, there's still a lot of work to do, both demand and what the actual context of the development is. We do need to start discussions in some partnership with the city, MATC, and Scott together to help move this discussion. We've had those in the past, and then leadership changed, and they're doing their strategic vision, which I can appreciate. So was our city. But our city's comprehensive plan is to grow the population by 10,000 people by 2045. And our developments that we've been doing are leasing quickly.
Yeah.
And there seems to be a strong housing demand within our community, but this could be a mixture of all that. We've also seen that in the town center, which is butts some of the development here, that there's 1 million new visits to that town center year over year. So it's gone skyrocketed, and Asia is a big influence of that. And we've looked at where people are coming from, and it's broadly across the whole metro area, if not even Chicago, to come to Pan Asia. There was a new Planet Fitness there, so the potential for additional retail in this area is strong. We've also heard that the Home2 Suites, we think it's one of the top 3 in the whole state. We know we use something called Placer AI, which tracks everything from your cell phone. We're seeing people going to Brewers games and coming back to the hotel, or the Gauge, like weddings out of Chicago come up here,
Concerts,
use the Gauge, and they want to book rooms at our hotel. And there's been times that the hotel's been booked. So, there's a demand to be in the West Dallas area, and we want to continue that. So we applaud, Scott's vision, and the park is a very important element there. That's in our development agreement currently. I just want to say, yes, you see a ball diamond there today. It's just, doesn't mean there's going to be a ball diamond there. I think we're going to look at the evolution of what that park could be for the neighborhood. It may include a place, it may include other amenities, other things that meet what the population is that is there today, and also growing. We're not seeing households with lots of kids anymore. So do we go out and put a big play set in if we don't see the population of children in the area? Maybe not, but you do see what we're seeing is households of 29 maybe want to walk their dog, want to go out and experience an area where they can sit down and do yoga or have an experience of some sort, and then build off of what the whole vision is for the neighborhood, whether it's hotel users that want to get out and walk the neighborhood. So we just kind of, pair that all together and continue these discussions. But tonight we wanted to come here, show this vision, and then start the bigger, broader partnership discussions that will have to make this deal come together.
Scott, you've been a good partner with the city of West Dallas for some time. And I trust that this vision that you're putting forth now will flourish into something equally great.
Yeah.
And so thank you.
Yeah, no, we're excited. One, if I can add too, a lot of development these days, we do a lot of mixed use, but you're kind of creating them sometimes in a more of a Disneyland type fashion where they're not authentic. What's great here, you've got, Patrick hit on it. You've got, the retail in the corner, you got all the offices, some in place. You've got the educational piece. It really has all the elements of what it takes to be sustainable. So some of these don't work. You see development where they force retail at the first level and it sits vacant and doesn't develop. And I think here you can really have that authentic, genuine development, which is what people really want. So we're excited about it. We appreciate the partnership as well. And if there's some element of informal support for this, that's all we need to hear to keep going. So.
Patrick, thank you for your comments. Is there anything else on this item? Any other comments that anyone would like to make? I think I'll close this off. Thank you very much for being here.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
I think so. There are a couple of notifications.
The next is a number 4A and B will take together a conditional use permit for Breezy's Play School Academy, a proposed group child care center at 6018 West National Avenue. Who has that? Yes, young lady, go ahead, Emily.
Thank you, Chairman Wayne. Okay, you can go to the next slide. So these next few items are very incredibly similar to one another, both in name and in use type. So at any point, if there's any confusion about what we're talking about, tell me to pause and I can address it. But overall, at this location, we're looking at a group child care center in the C3 zoning district. Group child care centers just tend to be conditional uses in nature. There has not been one formerly at this location. It used to be Electromania, if anyone recalls that, a neighborhood service use. Overall, the daycare is looking to care for 14 children. If you could go back, Steve. That's okay. 14 children at this location, ages 4 weeks to 3 years. So the preschool academy tends to cater toward much younger children. In total, they're looking at 6 staff, open 7 days a week from 5:30 a.m. until about midnight. Next slide, please. When it comes to the submitted site and landscaping plan for this location, we see very few, if any, alterations proposed to the existing building. When it comes to landscaping, it's pretty built out on the site, aside from the large grand front yard to the back or to the front of this building along National Ave. We see just one tree indicated. Otherwise, like, it's fairly orderly in the front of the building. However, when you transition to the rear of the building, which may serve as an emergency exit for staff and children at this location, it is pretty overgrown. If you want to hit one forward, Steve? This is currently so we let this factor be addressed. Most contentiously between both of these projects, parking on site will not occur on National Avenue directly. As of right now, there is a parking limitation imposed in front of these buildings saying no parking from 3 p.m. until 6 p.m. We just think that for the safety of the families, doing pickup and drop off operations here, that no one should be parking on National Ave to run their kids into the building. I know that the proposed business owner and property owner are in discussions with Wells Fargo across the street on 61st to inquire about potentially having a couple of dedicated spots there. That is still up for discussion, however, and we will want to see a formalized agreement to permit that. Otherwise, they are essentially looking to compete with the other residential properties along 61st Street as their next safest option. When it comes to waste handling for the site landscaping plans, we didn't see any indication of refuse containers. Clearly, they're shown here in this picture, but we do need to have that specified on the site plan. If they are choosing to go with a commercial waste hauling facility, the screening of any dumpster type structures is required. Next slide. The floor plans are pretty simplistic in nature for this one. So generally, folks are going to enter off of National Avenue into a reception area. Near this area, there's going to be a restroom and a room specified for toddlers. There is a kitchenette hallway that leads to more of the infant-oriented rooms, as well as a stairway to a 900 square foot basement, which is not going to be programmed necessarily. We did see in the plans that restrooms were indicated for the basement, I believe for staff use. However, we need to see those plans indicated on the floor plans. When it came to the time of reviewing this application for our staff reports, I did chat with our code enforcement inspector who raised some substantial building code compliance issues potentially for a daycare at this location. So certain things such as the potential need for a sprinkler system, the definite need for 2-hour fire rated walls, and other assorted factors are things that the applicants really should look into addressing before we recommend moving on with this item. Next slide, please. Additionally, when it comes to the architectural plans, no changes proposed here. However, if you pop out to the site, you do see that there are some structural issues indicated with the roof line. They have it tarped over with some cinder blocks. So even though we don't see anything on the plans presently, we will need to see that amended, of course, before it's safe for children and families and anyone for that matter. And we'll need to see those changes indicated on the architectural plans. When it comes to our recommendation, we do recommend holding this item just because they're not quite there yet. Certain things like most importantly, the completion, or at the very least, like seeing plans for the completion of the scope of work indicated by code enforcement on PR 685 is really paramount. Just because the changes needed to gain code compliance are very expensive in nature. Like we are talking potentially $20,000. While the applicant has stated that they are willing to put forth, a substantial amount of money to make this project happen, we do wish to see a little bit more progression toward that goal before we go down the line of recommending a public hearing and getting through that process just to hit a hard stop with code compliance. We also asked to see a revised floor plan submitted to show those bathroom plans for the basement. We also asked for an amendment to the landscaping plan to just confirm a 4-sided refuse enclosure and screening details, and really just an indication of where trash will be held on the site, as well as the removal of vegetation overgrowth near that rear property entrance, just for everyone's safety. When it comes to the architectural plan, of course, we were looking for an updated elevation indicating the current need for roof fixture, as well as what that fixed roof is going to look like once completed. Also, very importantly, we do wish to have a formal parking agreement with Wells Fargo submitted to the planning staff for review. And then, of course, when we get there, common council approval of the conditional use and then a signage plan. At this time, if any of you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer. Thank you.
Yeah, I have a question. Well, first of all, I mean, when I read this in the staff report, or I read this item in the staff report, I was like, this is absolutely horrible. I wouldn't send my child to this. So I agree with a hold, but what is a hold going to do? I mean, does the applicant have any sort of plan as to how they're going to, I guess, kind of go through their list of items that they have to address? Because I mean, it's quite substantial.
That is fair, very fair. Eric, do we have any member associated with this project here?
The planning commission, I guess, once we receive an application, we bring it to planning commission, we have to act within a certain time period, usually 60 days.
Mm-hmm.
Your point, I mean, I guess if there isn't substantial progress towards, checking items off the list here, and then we would bring it back to planning commission, and at that point, you could recommend rejecting the application due to incompleteness, and then they would have to try again when they're ready. So if that answers your question.
And this, oh, sorry.
No, that's right. So I'm assuming we're gonna hold this. Based on, what we saw, is there a certain time? Do we hold it for 60 days? Do we hold it for 30 days?
We can I guess we can monitor that. We want to adhere to our zoning ordinance. So I mean, if it goes beyond that 60-day limit, we will bring it back at the future meeting.
Sure.
So, and your future meeting, and then make our recommendation to get that point. Yeah.
Kind of
Updated recommendation.
to add to what Steve had mentioned, should there be a grand overhaul and great strides made toward compliance, then whatever follow-up meeting we would have to review this item, I would kind of assume that we have the baseline, information down, and I would just be going over likely the changes proposed. So it's a lot, it's substantial in nature. So I understand people's hesitation with these projects.
So do we have a motion to hold?
I'll make a motion to hold.
Bring B, 5A and B together.
Separately
Okay.
between 4 and 5.
This is 4A, 4B. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion second. Any discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. This matter is is being held. Thank you. We'll move on to 5AB. Emily?
Yes, thank you, Chair. So here we are looking at the property essentially right next door to the other daycare. And to some degree, With the change, the scope of changes required for each building, there could be some good synergy, you know, if both of these properties are managed by the same company, just in case certain changes are required. So when we look at this other daycare center, again, C3, a conditional use is required. However, this one is going to cater towards slightly older children, up to 13 years in age, and they're looking to care for 32 children at this location. Staff here bumps up a little bit to 9. Proposed hours here are largely the same, except for that hard cutoff at 11 p.m. here. The former use here was for Ace Business Machines, which is a neighborhood service use. Again, the proposed changes are minor in nature, according to the applicant's plans. When it comes to the site and landscaping plan here, a little more fun, a little more interesting. We do have a proposed playset installation behind the property. So this area generally is going to be about 1,300 square feet, fenced in with a 6-foot tall fence and synthetic turf surfacing. And the fence is going to be wooden in nature. Landscaping here, again, pretty sparse, just 2 trees indicated as existing on the site, nothing terribly proposed. Parking here, same thing as the prior property. We do need to see that agreement with Wells Fargo to feel safe recommending approval. But again, 61st Street is kind of that backup option. We had a lot of internal discussions about the potential that folks may park at the BP or the Taco Bell across the way and just, you know, parents in a rush running their children over. We really do not wish for that to happen to service these daycares. Waste handling, same compliance issue as the last one, not indicated on the plans, the required. Next slide, please. When it comes to the, oh, sorry, that is the site plan. So one more. When it comes to the floor plan, pretty similar to last time, folks are going to enter off of National Ave into a reception area. Generally, that's 73 square feet off to the left there. And then that's going to be immediately adjoined to an area for toddlers. Across the way is going to be an area for infants. And here at this location, we do note that infants require 2 at-grade egresses, immediate exit to the outside, essentially, just for their safety. We don't see that necessarily indicated on these plans. And the exit indicated on the plans to serve as that second exit is not at grade. So there are stairs involved, and that's not code compliant. Further back into the walkway, we see an area for kids ages 4 through 6 toward the bottom there, and then for older children to the northwest portion of the building. In the very back of house, we see 2 restrooms, a small kitchenette, and then access to the basement as well. That basement is not going to be programmed, so no additional plans were required for that one. Next slide, please.
Thank you. So as with a previous item, you'd recommended holding that, you're recommending holding this.
You cut to the chase a little bit, Wayne, but yes. We're gonna run through architectural real quick, but yeah, we are gonna recommend holding. Okay. When it comes to the architectural plans here, they will need to update their plans just to show compliance with that at-grade egress. So they will have to just update the architecture of the building there. Just one more. Another thing I wanted to address potentially within this is a little bit further down the line, potentially at the next review. I did notice this, I believe, painted sign on the side of the building. So we will want to see, of course, them address that with the new proposed business, but that's just another thing I would like to look into before the next meeting. Slide, please. As Wayne so aptly put it, we are recommending a hold of this item, subject to the following conditions. So the completion of code enforcement's conditions is outlined in PR 685. A formal parking agreement with Wells Fargo submitted for our review and approval. A revised landscaping plan to show the confirmation of refuse enclosure location and 4-sided screening details. And then common council approval, which will be moved to a later date potentially, and then eventually a signage plan. At this time, if any of you have any questions.
Thank you, Emily. Any questions for Emily or a motion to hold or whatever you'd like to do? Motion to hold has been made.
Second.
We have Second. Any discussion?
Nope.
There being none, those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes. It will be held. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll move on to 6, which is site landscaping and architectural amendments for Masters Buildings Solutions, an existing light industrial use at 1535 South 101st Street. Who has this? Yes, sir. Jack.
Thank you, Chairman. This Masters Building Solutions is currently located at 10950 West Rogers Street on the city's west side. They're moving to this new location, that 50,000 square foot office and warehouse building. The new facility will have 20 to 40 employees, bringing them over. The hours of operation for sales, Monday through Friday, standard daytime hours, and parts and service, Monday through Friday, standard daytime hours as well. The zoning is I1, and this conforms to our existing light industrial zoning, which is a limited use, and it may go forward. The 3.7 acre site shows that existing office and warehouse building with additional areas for parking, loading docks, and refuse. The major component for the site plan is the existing parking area that's to be significantly reduced, creating more green space on the site due to a lack of a need for parking. On that paved area, what's staying the same is on that northern portion of the building, there's that paved parking area. A 100-foot by 100-foot area will be utilized for outdoor storage. We need details on the screening methods. They indicated a fencing opportunity there, but we just need more details submitted at a later date. The east side of the parking lot, that's that parking area that's going to be significantly revamped. That's going to be repaved, reconstructed. A significant number of parking stalls are shown to be removed. And then this results in an increase in permeable area, allowing stormwater to naturally be infiltrated into the soil. We are requesting landscaping in this area. Additionally, we are requesting some touch-ups to the existing landscaping based on some previous approved site plans. We're going to work further with the applicant on addressing those landscaping needs along with our city forestry department, city forester. Additionally, one major site plan is the existing south access is proposed to be widened, but that exceeds the 30-foot standard. So this is going before the Board of Public Works approval. So that is moving forward in September. All right. The floor plan shows the existing building being accommodated to be usable for that warehouse, parts and service, and the related business functions. Majority of the function for this building will be interior beyond that outdoor storage area. And then in addition to that warehousing function, there is a retail parts showroom to be located on the east face of the building, which is the street facing side along 101st Street. All right. The architectural plan shows some enhancement to the existing architecture. Currently, there's a failing drive-in exterior system on the front-facing facade that will be replaced with a new metal panel siding. That's shown in that top elevation. Minor exterior work also includes the painting of garage doors and new windows on site. Additional things such as a retaining wall with a guardrail are located in the back. On the architectural plan, we did not see rooftop mechanicals shown. If that's visible, if that's visible from the public right of way, we need to ensure that it's properly screened, and we just want to make sure those screening considerations are taken into account. So we will need an update to the architectural plan. And then in the next slide, we see the existing building right here along 101st Street. That will be enhanced greatly with those new architectural features. All right, we are recommending approval of the site landscaping and architectural amendment. We are recommending a variety of different recommendations, including the submittal of the revised landscaping plan. One thing that was noted in the staff report is the addition of a laydown storage area building. They are not moving forward with that area, but their architectural plans and site plans still show that. in some way. We are requesting just an update to those plans fully, just so we have full clarity showing that outdoor storage area as opposed to a new laydown storage building extension. And then additionally, we are requesting those details on the landscaping along with some pretty statutorial, procedural review process, such as the Board of Public Works approval of that area for that driveway approach, building permits being applied for through code enforcement, and then also the signage and lighting for the business if they so choose to have any new signage on site being approved by planning. If you have any questions, please. Yeah, yeah.
On item 1, I think we, on our presentation, council approval is not needed, so we would recommend striking condition 1.
Trying to make the motion, we should strike item number 1. Any questions or comments or inquiry of Jack or Steve?
What are they doing with the parking lot that they're not gonna be using? They're gonna be all green space? What's the plan for that?
Yeah, so the existing parking lot, go back to the site plan, yeah. So shown majorly on that eastern portion where it's in that darker shade of gray. Currently, there's a lot more parking this is the proposed site plan. There's currently parking essentially up to the building right now. That is going to be replaced by green space. And so that's being ripped out and removed. And that is the significant enhancement on the site essentially. Did that answer your
Grass
question?
or
Yeah, grass, but we're requesting landscaping to go in that area along with some grass, so.
Yep, that's all I wanted.
Awesome.
So wanted to. Yes.
Anything else? Any further comments?
You can just grab that project architect, Chuck Fleck.
I'm sorry.
Chuck Fleck, the architect.
Yes.
If I could, the change in the laydown space is actually, what was submitted was here in this fenced in area. So the revised plans that we'll get to the city will show a 10-foot high fence around this existing parking lot. And that'll have slats on this face. So that's the east face, the north face, and the west face, and the south face would be open. And that's so that the applicant, Masters Building, can have a view into their yard. They rent some equipment, but it's expensive equipment, needs to be on a trailer and behind this fenced area. So there will be a gate here and another access point over here. Actually, two, one man gate and another sliding gate to get mowers and things down here to manage lawn mowing. And then on the landscaping, I don't know if you can go to that existing picture. Well, this is fine. So there's already a grass and landscaped area at the front. Ownership has decided that they want to redo the landscaping that exists up against the east face of the building. So we've got a landscape plan for that. This strip through here is going to be, we're eliminating one row of parking. So this area gets a lot more green space with lawn. And then the forestry, is it a department or?
It's part of our Department of Public Works.
Department of Public Works. So there were 6 mature trees in the terrace area on the public right of way. So we're looking for some direction on if those are going to go in so that we're not paralleling new proposed landscaping in this landscape area here. So we'll work with city staff on that. One other thing that came up recently is this area down here. If you go to the elevations, we have to submit a revision on that. But if you want to flip to right here, some of this opening here is going to require some new structural things to happen here that are different than what was planned. So this steel siding, this black architectural siding will most likely be completed across the top of this opening, and that will tie in with the rest of the building. So you'll have existing face brick at the lower portion, and then that'll match other things on the building. Just clarification, since we're all in the room, I wanted to put that out there. So we were working to get these revisions back to you soon. So the goal would be to get the site plan approved with the condition that the paving operations, the new paving and new curbing could go in pending approval of landscaping and the lay down or the fenced in area.
Colleagues, any questions for the
Thank you.
applicant?
Thanks, John.
Thank you, sir. Jack, are you okay with what you just heard?
Yep.
Any discussion? Is there a motion?
Motion to approve striking condition 1.
Don't we have to remove something?
Striking, yeah, number 1.
Oh, okay.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None opposed. Motion passes. Thank you. Thank you for coming in.
you. Appreciate it. Talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Next is the site landscaping and architectural amendment Resolve Care Center, an existing residential care service use at 9047 West Greenfield Avenue. And who has that? Mr. Steve has it.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. With us virtually are Victoria and Andrew representing Resolve Care Center. They are new operators who took over. This place used to be called the Alice Care Center, but now it's Resolve. Resolve is a new operator. The Alice operator is gone. Unfortunately, Alice left some deferred maintenance to the new operator, and as a result of some of that deferred maintenance, as well as a complaint from the neighborhood south of this area. Just for context here, Greenfield Avenue is up on the north here. Subject properties bounded by this green line, and then 91st Street dead ends into the property down here. We received a complaint from a neighbor to the south indicating that he noticed that there were 5 8-yard dumpsters, parked along the south side of the building. And this went on for, about a week. He contacted the elder person, got a hold of code enforcement, planning got involved because there is an approved plan on this property. Historically, the dumpsters have always been located on the east side of the building, and the east side of the building is sort of represented by this blue box on the east side of the nursing home. There is circulation around the building, so there's a drive access, 2 driveways on Greenfield Avenue, and then the larger vehicles like trucks, sanitation trucks, and so on can come around the building and enter one driveway and exit the other, looping around the building. So Resolve promptly contacted the waste hauler, who happens to be Waste Management, relocated. There was an error made. Resolve just trying to balance their garbage needs. I mean, they don't need so many dumpsters. I mean, too many were dropped off. They don't need that many. So it was an error on behalf of them, maybe in the communication between the Resolve and Waste Management. Waste Management came out and removed the 5 8-yard dumpsters. They did drop off, they did keep 2 on site, which are located now on the southeast corner of the site. These 8-yard dumpsters are much larger than what was historically located on the east side of the property. What's over here used to be about 13 or 14 different dumpsters, and what is now, there's fewer than that now, but they did leave 2 of the 8-yard dumpsters in the southeast corner. So to balance their need, not to have too many dumpsters, but not too few, we don't want a sanitation issue. You don't want the garbage cans overflowing. They are increasing the frequency of pickup for all the dumpsters on site, 6 days a week. Previously, it was something a little bit less under the old operator. This will keep the site clean, as well as serve the capacity with some of the larger dumpsters on site in the southeast corner. So with the change in plans, changing up some of the dumpsters that were historically on the east side here, some will still remain behind the screen fence. The 2 new ones that are in the corner, we want to make sure that those are screened from view. So staff conducted a site review, took a look at the property. There is an existing chain link fence that runs along the east side of the property and then sort of turns and goes a little bit along the south edge down in this area. But it's in need of, in some cases, repair. And then again, given the larger size dumpsters in the southeast corner, that existing screen fence isn't tall enough to screen the new dumpsters in the southeast corner. So staff recommended that the new operator make plans to install a fence, a new screen fence around the two new dumpsters, as well as fix some pavement on the east and east side of the property in this alleyway along the east side. And then additionally, remove some dirt debris and clean out an existing catch basin on the south end of their property, which was clogged, resulting in some puddling, some runoff to 91st Street and adjacent properties. So with that, Resolve is definitely cooperating. We've got Andrew and Victoria with us online if there's any questions, but they are following, I guess the notes that we've provided them at our site meeting a few weeks ago, and our conditions of approval. Basically, we just go through those right now. That the 2.8 dumpsters on the southeast corner of the site be equipped with some sound absorbing pad, something underneath the dumpsters themselves. They're going to be proposing some kind of padding underneath the dumpster feet, as well as on the lids themselves to prevent the banging and noise issues with the neighborhood. Secondly, they're going to be fencing that off with an 6 to 8 foot tall wood fence, board on board style fence, which provide more of a solid opaque screening. And that fence will extend a little further than just the dumpster area itself. It will actually stretch further north from that dumpster area in that southeast corner to just about the edge of this home here. And then also along a portion of the south property line to buffer it from the other residential property to the south. There's also the dirt will be removed, actually has been removed as of today from the site. There's a note, we were looking for a note on plan just to sort of keep that private stormwater catch basin area clean. That's also just a standard building code, so that's even if we don't require it being noted on the plan, if it does clog again, it has to be kept maintained clean at all times. Providing a detail and spec of a curb feature along that south property line. There's quite a bit of a pitch on that in the property running from north to south. And there is a little bit of a slight berm in the asphalt right now, but our engineering department is asking for and recommending more of a curb feature along that south edge of the property, so that if water should happen to not go to the catch basin, if there's a lot of water, it would hit that new curb and then run and be directed to the catch basin area to prevent off-site runoff to adjacent residential properties. And then there was some debris on the east side of the property, which they've agreed to remove. And then our health department actually got involved because there was a complaint of rats, which the health department didn't see signs of rats on site. They do have bait stations out there. So we've done our best, I think, to handle the complaint, the initial complaint that came in. There were some additional property maintenance things in the process that Resolve is agreeing to manage and take care of. So we're satisfied with the direction we're going. We'll continue to work with them to get these final things cleaned up and taken care of. But with that, we recommend Plan Commission approval. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Having been around this community for a number of years, I think I've heard everything negative you could possibly hear about Alice Care Center. So I'm excited about what you're reporting tonight, the direction of Resolve. I wish them well. I hope things go well. Any discussion?
Yes, I also agree with staff recommendations. Just a question for the applicant. For the items that you have to address, when could we expect to see some action on that? And what would be like the first item you're going to address?
Hi, this is Victoria. So the first item that we addressed was the dirt today that was taken care of. As far as the landscaping, our parking lot pavement is scheduled to start September 1st, and the fence would follow that. We have already made contact with the local neighbors to inform them that we do plan on putting that fence up. We have been in healthy communication with them. They are excited for the improvement, and there has not been any reported concern. As far as the dumpsters and the padding to go under them, we are waiting for this meeting to be transparent to ensure that that is something that's approved so that we can coordinate a scheduled time to insert that padding under those dumpsters following this approval.
Thank you, Victoria.
Thank you, Victoria. And Eric, thank you for your question. Any further discussion? Those in favor?
I'll move to
Aye.
approve.
Or do we have a motion? I'll make a motion to approve if we didn't.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Any discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
Good job.
We'll move on to.
Thanks, Andy. Thanks, Victoria.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
We'll move on to number 8, site landscaping and architectural design review for Chicken House, a proposed restaurant, limited use at 9131 West Cleveland Avenue. And who has that? Yes, Steve.
Thanks. Hamad Khan is here with us this evening. Thanks for joining us, Hamad. Hamad owns the property at 9131 Cleveland Avenue. Previously, Cleveland, well, it was previously the Parthenon. Hamad bought it and established Cleveland Liquor. And then there's also a salon tenant on this smaller portion of the building over here. It's about a 650 square feet portion of the building. The salon tenant has left, the lease ended. Hamad would like to redevelop that for a small carry-out restaurant with maybe a potential for outdoor seating at some point down the road. But right now, primarily focusing on getting the approvals and entitlements from the city, then applying for necessary permits to convert it for a small carry-out restaurant serving chicken and different flavors of sort of fast casual type of food. So in terms of the zoning, this is a permitted use, or I guess I should say a permitted or limited use, meaning in other words, as long as the restaurant is under 2,000 square feet and the hours of operation don't exceed, the threshold we have here, they're closed between 12 a.m. and 6 a.m. at all times. And then after 10 p.m. Sunday through Thursday, it's considered an allowed use, so it doesn't need a public hearing. We did make the error of sending out, I think, a public notice to the neighbors, but that's actually, I think, a good thing. And we did indicate initially there would be a conditional use, and we scheduled a public hearing, but so the neighborhood did receive notice. We did get one concerned citizen to the east of the property. We did meet on site to talk about some of those concerns, and we're working through that. Basically falls into just some cleanup of the backyard area, and then just assurance that the odors from the restaurant aren't going to be a problem or a nuisance for surrounding neighbors. So we can definitely work through that in the planning process based on the plans that Hamad has submitted through his architect. Just another view of the Cleveland side facing portion of the building, the liquor store with the tenant space and apartment building up above, apartment unit up above. And then this is the part that's going to be changing right here, 650 square feet. There's an elevation that's been submitted. Basically, if you look at the existing building, there's three windows and a doorway. Actually, to the old salon is on the east side of the building, up that staircase. The changes are primarily going to be to upgrade the staircase here. Possibly the plans show adding a second one. We're talking with the architect and Hamad right now about consolidating those staircases just to one primary staircase, which would service both the side door the tenant needs as well as the front door for the new restaurant. A new storefront window system will be added, and as well as a retaining wall to take out that asphalt slope. And then there'd be some new planters installed in front of the store, the new restaurant, just to give it a nice curb appeal and change up what's currently there today. Just another look here at the floor plan. plan view looking down, sort of a little bit of a combination of a site plan and a floor plan. But those new planter areas shown here, there is a second staircase shown in this variety of the plan. We're working with the architect right now to see if we could perhaps eliminate this staircase and instead upgrade this staircase to serve as both a landing to enter the storefront door here, as well as continue the, the sidewalk here to the side door and to the backyard that the tenants use for their enjoyment. But the kitchen area shown here, about 270 square feet of kitchen. It will feature a hood. Window back here is being closed up. There is an existing bathroom in this location, and then the lobby, sort of the public facing side of things, is about 380 square feet. And will feature a service counter in this location. No seating is currently proposed within the building. There may be a small waiting area for people as they're waiting to pick up their order. Down the road, there is the possibility for outdoor seating. There's a bit of a side yard area on the east side of this building that could be used for a couple small tables. We would want that shown on the plan to be reviewed accordingly. One thing that we'd also suggest is this hood. It's not indicated exhaust. It's not indicated in the exterior of the building. It's likely going straight up, penetrating the roof area. The apartment buildings are right here. So I guess we would just want to see how that is all exhausting, how it's being directed up and away from residential, whether it's tenants on site or residential neighborhood to the south and east. But we are recommending approval subject to the conditions in your staff report. And the screenshot here basically just indicates providing a more detailed site plan to show the overall layout of the parking area. The plan that we had didn't really show parking lot striping, but there are some changes taking place with that staircase or two staircases that could affect the layout of parking. So we just want to see how that all works together, just to make sure there's not conflict. Just again, to sort of reinforce that there is ADA parking and access ways, and then a new 6-foot board-on-board fence being installed along the east side of the property. Mont has indicated he's agreeable to doing so to keep the peace with the neighborhood. And then reconfiguring the site plan, just showing customer access to the building, consolidating the staircases. As long as that's feasible from an architectural standpoint, it looks like it from the, sort of a planning perspective. And then converting some sort of dead remnant space in the corner of this site to either landscaping or grass, just greening it up rather than keeping it as pavement. And then the enclosure area, just ensuring that that's large enough to accommodate storage. There is a refuse enclosure on site currently. However, it's not large enough to accommodate the dump. Not only will it accommodates the dumpster, but there are some additional things that are being stacked up in crates or something for soft drinks or perhaps alcohol or something are being stored there outside the refuse container now for pickup. And we just like it to be large enough to accommodate everything that's being stored on site. Additionally, a bicycle rack being added on site, and if there are any the planned exterior paint colors, we just want to see what that's going to look like. There's a lot of small little things, I guess, that we'd like to see some more detail on, and Himad is working with Keith Schultz Architecture, and they will be providing updates to what we're asking for here. But with that, I'll open it up for discussion. Brandon?
ADA access to that restaurant now? I know we have stairs, but not a ramp. Or, is it falling under disproportionality or?
From what we heard from our code enforcement department, they weren't indicating a ramp being needed for this. I mean, so that did, I know we did question that,
Yeah, sure.
but it didn't come up as being a thing. So
Just asking.
yeah. Good point.
Are you, Steve, are you and the applicant in conversation about a hood?
Well, there is a hood being proposed on the back of the building right now. Or I should say within the building, over the top of the cooking area. So there will be a new hood installed in that location. A question I guess we have is exactly what is the method of exhausting? Is it going straight out the back into the backyard? Is it going straight up? We just want to
Straight up.
straight. Okay, so I guess we just want to see that detail on the plan and how that how that looks in terms of an exterior view of the building.
Thank you. Sir, I enjoy good chicken. What kind are you going to have?
All kind. I might add some tandoori chicken from Indian dish. So I'm excited to do that here.
Do you have any roasted? No? Okay. Questions? Any further discussion?
Move to approve.
We have a motion to approve
Second.
and a second. Any discussion? There being none, those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. That passes. Best wishes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Next is site landscaping and architectural amendment for Irving School, West Allis, West Milwaukee School District, an existing school at 10230 West Grant. And who is the Steve talker? Okay.
So, thank you, Mr. Chair. We've got the Urban School District here this evening. I apologize.
Bill Smith,
Bill
project
Smith.
manager for the school district.
And Nathan, Steve, with Growth Design. And I'll turn it over to them in a little bit because I know they want to present. They've submitted a presentation to me, but I just want to sort of talk a little bit about the, why we're here. So, so Irving School is an existing school within the school district, public school at 102nd and Grant Street. The building as constructed, its HVAC, its cooling system is out of date. It's its original system. It's time for replacement. Growth, as well as their HVAC contractor, taking a look at how best, different options for exploring how best to sort of serve the needs of the HVAC, the cooling and heating of system on the school. They've looked at different options. The option they landed on was to change from the units being in the lower level and then sort of ductwork going up into the classrooms from the lower level, instead having everything on the rooftop and then distributing it across the the span of the primarily one-story building, and the different from east to west, north to south. There is a gymnasium portion of the building here, which is the highest point of the building. The rest of the building is fairly low, about 10 or 11 feet tall. So the rooftop mechanicals are going to be visible, and as part of our design guidelines, staff is suggesting that we should look at the screening, the potential for screening of the rooftop mechanical units, ductwork, and so on that's going to be taking place on the top of the building. We're not here this evening to debate, the option that they've decided. They're going forward with putting the updated system on the rooftop. It's just a question of, should what is being permitted through our code enforcement department be screened fully or in some portion, or are there some considerations for why it shouldn't be screened? And I'll turn it over to Nathan a little bit. He's definitely got a presentation here to show. I just want to show some more context images there. It is a part of the, larger referendum project. There is an allocation of a little over $5 million dedicated not only just to HVAC, but also to improvements to the school function, interior remodel itself, just to keep the place running and tidy. Bathrooms, improved stair ramps, accessibility, and so on within those renovations. Just a quick little plan view of the new mechanical system being added. The little orange line in the middle is the gymnasium. That's the tallest part of the building. And what else we have here? And then just some views of the existing south and east sides. These are the street facing sides, the primary street facing sides. 102nd Street being the bottom view of that school. You can kind of see the low sort of spanning or sprawling sort of architecture. And then the top view, that's the south elevation. That's the front door as you walk up to the front door of the school. And then similarly, just sort of a view from somewhat of the intersection of 102nd and Grant, looking at it, looking to the northwest. And just a view from just going around the horn here, but looking at the building on the top from 104th Street, that would be I'm having a hard time moving the mouse here, but 104th here, looking looking east at the west side of the building. And then the picture on the bottom is looking at it from the north. So if you're standing north of that large green space from Beecher Street and looking south, this is what you'd see on the north side of the building. So there's definitely differences in setback. I think the 102nd Street side of the building is the closest, and the building setback is the least. Whereas, Grant Street is a little further setback, and it's definitely the greatest setback is on the north. As you're looking across that athletic play field, soccer fields to the building, it's quite a distance, as well as from the 104th Street vantage point. Maybe hard to read, but I mean, so the building is the different views. I guess in terms of, the east and south, the street facing, the primary street facing sides, what we're seeing here, the darker gray areas of the building are the actual existing building. Everything above the dark gray is new mechanical and or ductwork. I've got some closer views of the south elevation, where you can see the dark gray is the existing building, and then there's that dashed line in the middle, the darker dashed line. Everything above that is mechanical. So the highest point of the building is 21 feet. The classroom portion of the building is about 10 feet tall. New mechanical stuff being added is about 9 feet tall. So it is significant as part of this plan amendment. So it is something that I guess we wanted to give some consideration to as part of the permit process. And then just sort of the east side of the building, the side facing 102nd Street, similar in nature, where you've got a 10-foot high existing building and ductwork and some mechanical units above that. Just roof view, you kind of see the distribution of how the five or six different mechanical condenser units are located in the building, and then how from those points, how the ductwork is going to be distributing down the different wings to make it, climate controlled within the building. The center point of the gym is definitely, 11 or so feet taller. It will provide some screening on its own, just the fact that it's there and it is taller. What we're concerned about is, that even with some of the setbacks, I mean, they're not putting this ductwork right up to the edge of the roof line. There are some of these, I've tried to sort of annotate on here, kind of the setbacks from the east side of the building. It ranges from 18 feet. The roof unit itself here is 26 feet back. The ductwork is about 14 feet back in this position. 38 foot back for this condensing unit, 14 foot of ductwork distance. So it varies, but even being placed more or less in the middle portion, the center point of the center line portion of the roof, it's just given the building's low stance, low profile, you're going to see something up there. So again, it's sort of the point we're looking at. So they are proposing a duct wrap on the external units. They are also highlighting certain parts of it are going to be a white color, other parts are going to be a gray color. Just sort of showing that. And then just another vantage point from the Grant Street view. There are trees. I guess there's varying setbacks. This is another view from the northeast, looking southwest from 102nd Street. Existing feature up on top. And then you can see where the gym projects upward here. But the main roof line it's just a little bit above the height of Grant Street. I mean, Grant Street elevation, the sidewalk elevation is not too far off from, being sort of almost the same level of the building. The grade changes a little bit. So it's just somewhat concerning to staff that, there isn't screening. And we just wanted to bring that up for consideration. In terms of the measure of how we, why are we making a big deal out of this? I mean, it's part of our architectural design review. As part of the building permit, design review is triggered. We do have architectural design review guidelines. There are 2 points a few points within the guidelines that I just like to call attention to. In terms of the public realm, we screen things. We always recommend things like screening of refuse, loading docks, the utility functions of buildings, is important to, be screened and be considered. It's mentioned here within our guidelines, and also just sort of, thoughtful use of fencing or masonry walls to delineate the private realm and shield property functions from neighbors in the public realm. So it gets into more so about, taking a look at any structural components should, or mechanical components trying to be situated away from street frontages, focused internally if possible. And we're not talking about a new development here. We're not rebuilding the school, 1950s or 60s style. I mean, this is an existing feature. They're just trying to retrofit something most efficiently and doing their best to understandably, hide it as best they can with different color tones and duct wrap. But we just thought that perhaps there should be maybe something a little bit more in terms of rooftop mechanical screening in line with our guidelines. So I know we didn't include a checklist within this checklist within your staff report, but these are the guidelines that we look at, I guess, when reviewing a project, and we feel that, it's these things that are highlighted in red here that we feel that are should be considered perhaps for some more consideration, more screening. I'll just mention that, this is the guidelines in this case, because it's not a new development, this isn't a you shall screen the rooftop. It's more of a you should. And we think it's important to at least give some strong consideration to doing something. And because this is a plan amendment, there is some capacity the Plan Commission can take into consideration, different design considerations than maybe that we're recommending this evening, or some other ideas. But we just think it's important to consider rooftop screening in this situation. I'm going to turn it over to Nathan at this point, and I've got your presentation right after these, I guess, slides, if you want to use this. I mean, this little bit of a lag. It's not, there we go.
Excuse me a second. Steve, have you had this conversation with the school board? I mean, with the school district?
We've met on this issue, and I think it's just important for the Plan Commission to hear, you've heard from me, but I think it's just fair to offer, the school district, their representative here this evening to offer you their point of view.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Steve. So a lot of these first slides are going to be very similar to the context that you offered, site plan or existing aerial plan here. I think, as you noted as well, setbacks differ all around the building. This is RC zoning. Do I have that correct? Right. So that's a maximum setback requirement, not a minimum setback requirement in dense residential. That maximum setback requirement is 20 feet as noted within the zoning code. Most of the multifamily residential properties generally comply with that. They're 20 to 25 feet, 22 feet, something like that in terms of their setback. The school building itself, not including this carport component of the building on the east side, that setback is approximately 30 feet. All other parts of the building on the east side, that setback is approximately 50 feet, so significantly larger, right, than the maximum. Again, those zoning standards were established much after, right? The building was constructed in the 50s and 60s, as Steve mentioned. The front setback is approximately 110 feet. So while those extra large setbacks are a benefit in many ways because they provide, right, a more park-like visibility and experience along the street and for adjacent properties, I think it's also one of the challenges, right? A challenging factor in that the farther you get away from the building, the more you can see on top of it too. So an existing condition that we're working within. I think the next two images here, Steve, as the slides catch up. I know you had provided some in terms of the Google Street Views, just on their aerial view. I think what this was intended to represent is really looking at the most directly impacted neighbors. There are 4 multi-use, multiple apartment multifamily on the east side. There is visibility at some points on the further north and south, but I would say these 4 parcels of adjacent properties would be most impacted by the project. And then looking at the south side, a very similar view, kind of the drone style view. Again, it would be 4 multifamily properties. This property is directly across Grant Street, but it's a parking lot before you get to the commercial use. And then this, one of the largest in the area, multifamily properties, is not directly across from the building or any of the proposed renovations to the rooftop. Here again represents largely what you, so I think we can move through this slide quickly, Steve, but just showing some of those setbacks. The roof plan, you did mention, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 total units. We went through a lot of discussion with our engineering team, with our general contractor, with the district to determine what was the most appropriate in terms of change, an upgrade to the indoor air quality by adding air conditioning to all classroom spaces, because there's not air conditioning in any of the classroom spaces currently, and updating the HVAC system generally, because the heating component, while it functioned well in most classrooms, it didn't function well in every classroom, and all of the existing air handling components in the lower level were original to the building, so they're 1950s, 1960s vintage. So really a major upgrade for the indoor air quality for staff and students and visitors as they attend Irving. The next view, Steve, again, is just noting what you did as well. Low first story roof, the high roof for the gym, and then our maximum height of just over 9 feet, 9 feet 1 inch, or 9 feet 2 inches if you're rounding up, for the air handling units. And some of that is impacted by our curb height as well. So what we're showing here, if you can see this, like some of these blue lines, this area is steel structure that the HVAC unit itself will sit on. One of the reasons why we're showing those further off of the roof, which seems counterintuitive in some ways, because that's making them taller and more visible from the public right away in adjacent properties. It actually was a major consideration for us to avoid a significant amount of structural reinforcement of the existing roof, considering snow loads. So by bringing the units and the ductwork up off of the roof, as we have it shown, we have significantly reduced the amount of snow load and structural consideration, additional roof load that we need to consider, and the amount of reinforcement that we're considering within existing classroom spaces. These last views, this is one that the group has seen already, so see that you put on the screen. So this is from Grant and 102nd Street. I think one thing here that this rendering does show that we realize isn't a architectural feature that's screening the mechanical units, but the quantity of mature vegetation currently in place that is not proposed to be revised in any way, and the screening that does provide, and that's not necessarily throughout all 12 months of the year, but for a majority of the year when that leaf canopy is in place as well. The next view here, Steve, is exploring what a architectural screening component could look like. I know this is something that city staff requested. We were happy to provide it. We still have some major concerns, namely cost associated with this. So the CG Schmidt is the construction manager as general contractor for this project. They did consider a cost estimate for this. And again, one of the major considerations here is the screening itself, and the steel supports, or the steel structure that would support the screening itself on top of the roof. But because we are lower to the roof in this scenario, we're not holding this screening up off the roof, as we talked about the ductwork. This would then necessitate snow load consideration. So then would also necessitate structural reinforcement within every classroom space, because that happens from inside the building, not from the outside of the building. So removal of existing ceilings, which would be hazardous material removal, not just standard demolition, removal and reinstallation of interior lighting, the need to vacate those classrooms while construction is occurring. And now that can happen during the summer months, just as the majority of construction has happened this summer, right? Just wrapping up between this week and next week with students coming back next week. But so a series of challenges and considerations that we are aware of when considering this screening, as shown here in this slide. The cost itself was estimated to be right, different scenarios, but really the different options are related to an increase in the amount of screening that would be considered. So the view that was on the screen was these two lengths of screening, which would be right 600 to 700,000 if I'm rounding quite a bit in these dollar amounts. And then as we would propose additional screening in other locations, other areas of the roof to the south and to the east, those costs increase as well. So here, something that we wanted to state and hopefully the Plan Commission would take into consideration. We are not proposing this as this improvement as a means to gain more classroom space or gain more retail space or gain more apartment space. It's really related to the only viable option as we explored modification, as we explored replacement within the existing building to provide individual room control. So the ability to set a heating temperature and set a cooling temperature in individual classrooms with the constraints of the existing building. Really low roof heights. We didn't have the ability to have ductwork within the classroom space. Within the existing building, either corridor or classroom, without it being too low, right? We'd be below 7 or 8 feet, which is a code violation. So that's why we ended up on the roof. Again, this is a public school. It's a community asset. It's a neighborhood asset. So while we are mindful of the request and considerations, we will work to continue to consider options. But if the request is to provide architectural screening of any component, that will be a challenge and a hardship for the district to be able to accommodate that with taxpayer dollars. Again, we are open to continuing conversations. I think, as you mentioned, Steve, right? The architectural guidelines, the design guidelines are guidelines, not requirements. Here again, we are willing to be good partners. We have been good partners and will continue to be good partners. But if the ability for the Plan Commission tonight to not provide relief for the screening requirements, what we would ask is that there would be a future review once more of the HVAC components, the ductwork, and the units are in place to be able to review those on site and see, right, are the concerns that are being considered through renderings and elevations, are they still the same level of concern when we're standing in front of the building, taking a look at the revised condition as well. So there, I don't know, Bill, if there's anything else that you would like to state, either generally from the district's perspective or other things related to this project.
I think you did a great job. This review and figuring out how to provide cooling in this school, which is our highest population of special needs students, with also our highest challenged heating and ventilation system school. We had some serious boiler issues there, air handler issues there. It necessitated us moving on this school first. And it's really important that we, are able to provide this for the students in the way that we came up with. Nathan, his engineers, exhausted every possibility. And this was not just the best solution, it was the most affordable solution for us. So we're excited about the solution that it's going to provide for the school. The school is very excited about it. The screening option is challenging, right? It's expensive, and that will challenge us to find ways to make savings elsewhere, that things that we can't do with the dollars we have available. So yeah, we would certainly request consideration on, let us complete the installation and see where we stand, see how we all stand there in front of the building at these various aspects, see how we experience it completed.
Yeah, I think function over aesthetics right now for that particular school is what's important. I understand the aesthetics, but the function of it has to take priority, especially for the school, especially for the taxpayers, the students themselves. I mean, another $200 million on a $5 million project on a public school is, no, I think we need function. That's what we need for the schools. We can decide maybe other stuff later on, but the way it is, I mean, might look a little unsightly, but I think if people understand the reason for it, then it should be just fine, in my opinion. Plus the weight. And you know, when you said the screening around the whole thing, I thought instantly, I'm like, the snow load on that is gonna be ridiculous. It's already loaded up with the HVAC and all the ducting and all that stuff. Now you want to add a place where all the snow is gonna go right on it. No place to move, no place to blow off, nothing like that. Doesn't work, I think.
I'm gonna disagree with you. I feel that it needs to be screened.
I'm sorry, speak up.
I'm gonna disagree here that I think it needs to be screened. At least some of it, a portion of it, maybe along the south and eastern portion of that, especially with these 2-story apartments right across the way. I mean, that's gonna be right at eye level. I know we're dealing with a shorter building, and I don't know if it's like extreme as what you're showing, the solid opaque thing. Maybe there's some play here with, you know, we've done stuff with perforated metal before. That's not like, you know, you can see the shadows through it. I mean, not this huge wall. And I get, you know, dealing with this older building, and I appreciate the insight into all this stuff, but there's a lot going on there, and it is kind of, we have to deal with HVAC stuff all the time in these buildings, but it's bigger than the building is for the most part. It's, you know, we got a 9-foot tall building, 10-foot tall building, a 9-foot tall HVAC system on top of it. I mean, I think we're in a lose-lose situation here. Like, both of these options look ridiculous by adding that much ductwork to the roof here, and then again, adding the screen in front of it. There's a lot going on there. I know there was talk early on about painting that to be, you know, so it's not the stainless steel color or whatever, made blends in more. Maybe there's some sort of give and take with this where it does blend in a little more with the HVAC units, but something needs to be done to not just have this bare metal or white just there. You know, that's over time here with this, something that's painted white here, that's just gonna look like garbage. You know, baking in the sun, birds, animals, whatever up there, like, it's just not gonna look great. Especially that one, I think it was on the east side there where the school is set down below where street level is, like those HVAC units, all that duct is right at eye level. It's not like it's gonna go away, and that's where the building is closest to the street there. It's not this 50 or 100-foot setback from the street here. That's 20 or 50 or whatever they were saying.
So if we put in the screening on it, then is that part of the condition to put the HVAC system in?
The HVAC system is going,
That's going.
it's going in, it's happening.
Okay,
Yeah, they've got the permit and it's moving forward.
that's moving forward, anything like
So,
that. So
it's
what
just
is
a question
stopping
of-
them from not doing the screening?
I think it's just cost, they're saying cost prohibitive.
Well, no, I understand their cost. I'm saying if they say, okay, we can't do the screening, there's too much load on the roof. There's too much stuff that needs to be done. If we take $2 million out of another school to put it into this school, what school suffers and then what projects have to be cut?
Yeah, I guess.
Because this is something that all the schools have been done, went to referendum. We want to increase the quality of the building of these schools. You know, there are some aesthetics, granted, but again, are we looking for, you know, something pretty? Or are we looking for function
Yes.
that a student can go into, not sweat their butt off, learn properly, instead of having to worry about, okay, do we have fans? Is it gonna be cold in our classroom this year? Is it gonna be hot in the summertime? again, function over aesthetics
Hmm.
was something different. If there was a different, different business, then I could see that where they could invest more into it because they can take their loans out or anything like that. Public schools don't have that. They're already their funding getting cut year after year after year after year. And now we're gonna try and put $2 million price tag on something.
And I guess the range of cost here is quite a bit. I mean, so, yeah, between 740,000 on the top end and 2 million on the top end for the, the $2 million add-on of screening is, I think, Nathan, correct me if I'm wrong, that's screening everything. I mean, all northwest, east, south, all four corners, all four sides of the building. And then the middle option is taking a look at the extent of, the entire, I think it's like 8 on Grant Street and the almost 300 feet along, 102nd Street. And then there's like a hybrid, the top option is just taking a look at a little bit smaller extent when you're coming off of Lincoln and going, at the building from Lincoln Avenue. It's kind of the first thing you see. It's kind of like just taking a look at the, that front corner, just getting a little bit of the south and a little bit of the east, along with the painting and things that they've mentioned. So
Just a minor correction. It's not painted duct and it's not raw stainless or raw steel. It's a jacketed,
wrap or something.
It's a wrap.
Yeah,
Yeah,
aluminum material.
Outside then?
absolutely. That's its whole purpose. Yes.
Yeah, I've got it here. Brandon, you can peek at it too. They don't offer life cycle
Sure.
information, but yeah, it's their standard colors and other information there. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
self-adhering. It's made to be installed in an exterior application, and it provides. Yeah, it doesn't provide any insulation component. That's a different component of the ductwork, but it's providing the finish on the outside.
Can it be painted?
I don't know if you would after the fact.
That wrap be painted?
It comes in these colors, different colors.
My question is this, is
On the line.
if something like, okay, instead of the wrap, schools have colors, they have, stuff like that, you could, if it's paintable, right? You could add that to the ductwork. Just like we have, the big, mural projects around the city.
Sure.
Do something like that around it if it's paintable.
Could the screening be artwork somehow?
Well, screening, it's not the screening, it's gonna be the artwork. The screening is, gonna require more maintenance year after year after year. And we're looking at a limited budget for a system that keeps getting money taken away from them. It's just, we're asking too much to have it fully screened in. We can look at different options. If it's something where you can paint it, again, I don't know. But if it's something where you could actually add like stuff to it, that would make it a little bit more palatable. Otherwise, having it screened in, it's taking money away from then other buildings. That means it's taking money away from other children.
Yeah, I mean, my opinion on this here, since I've been hearing it, is I tend to agree with my colleague Brendan here that you have to have some level of screening on this. I just think leaving it like with the ductwork, that to me that's not acceptable. And I think we have to kind of look at both factors here. And I think the comments that our colleague Brendan made, I'm in agreement with his comments or his suggestions here that he made. I guess where are we at here? Are we at a point where we can take a vote on this? I mean,
But it's sure that it's going up, and either way, I mean, it's the HVAC, it's going up.
What do you?
It's going up.
Mr. Chair, yeah, So I guess, Nathan brought up a point. I mean, this is going in, the ductwork is being installed. I guess it's a question of to what level, no screening to some level of screening of what's going to be going in. And would the plan commission be amenable to, as Nathan has suggested, let it be installed as they're proposing with the duct wrap, as shown in the roof plans? And then we bring it back when the project's complete or substantially complete, we put it on a future agenda, and
Is that
it's
gonna,
kicking it down the road a bit, but I mean, but that aspect of the HVAC, the system is being installed.
does that have potential to add more cost to the screening if you're gonna do it at a later date?
It
I
wouldn't,
think the reality is regardless, you're not doing it like this fall, right? And you're certainly not gonna do it in the winter.
Yeah,
So
with the install of all this ductwork, we talked about having to remove all this and that on the inside. So you could do that whenever. Would that, again, I mean, we're talking structural modifications that would need to happen again in the future. If we're going to talk about adding screening at a future date, I think you just double the cost now with the screening by choosing to do it at a future date.
so a correction there, Brandon. There is a fairly minimal amount of reinforcement that's happening with the units. The structural engineer and the HVAC subcontractor, the installation team, were able to locate the units
Okay.
utilizing the largest existing structural components.
Sure.
So there have been some structural modifications. But again, because we've eliminated the majority of our snow load considerations and it's just the way the units themselves, we haven't had to reinforce a lot. Like we removed little bits of ceiling in each classroom, right, to get the ductwork supply and return installed.
Yeah.
But we didn't remove whole ceilings in any classrooms as part of the work that's happened this summer.
So that if we were to modify, I guess what I'm getting at is if we were to add screening now, future, that would require structural modification.
It would,
Okay.
yes.
All right.
The way that it's on the screen now, and again, design is powerful. I know you know that too,
Yeah.
Brandon. There's 500 different options between nothing and what we've proposed. We can continue to explore options. But again, I think including screening of any sort will be a cost and financial challenge that we'll just want to continue to have discussions about.
Yeah, I get it. That's the design and the financial component of this. It seems very difficult to balance.
Rock and a
We're
hard
willing to
place.
explore other options with growth and school districts as well. I mean, I know, and thank you very much for proposing the range, of costs from full screening to partial screening. But yeah, as Brendan mentioned, there's probably 1,000 different design options that may be lighter weight, less wind load, snow load. It could perhaps be offer some kind of form to the function that's taking place here.
Let's kick down the road.
The other thing is that I also want to ensure that we're not, the precedent we set this evening can also be looked at in future, and you've got to be a little careful with that. I mean, if this isn't the textbook example of why cities require rooftop screening, then I'm not sure what is. So,
Correct.
but
If this wasn't a school, would you feel differently about it?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, no, we're talking about a public school.
I understand that. It's a public school. I get it. I heard it enough, but we got to have some level of screening. That's where I'm at on this. There has to be some level of screening. I understand the students that go to the school. I understand that. I understand that there's special need kids that go here. I get it. But we got to get to a level to where we have some screening.
So finish your comment.
Just saying function over aesthetic.
And Eric, since you were being blasted out, tell us what you were saying.
I was stating that I understand the comments here made about a school. You got children in there, budget constraints. I understand it. But I also understand that we have to have some level of screening in here. And just to say, to just say, no, it just has to have about functionality. I don't think that's acceptable. It's not acceptable to me. And I know, like, with my colleague, we're kind of having a yelling match here, but got to tell you, got to have some level here of compromise on this. We have to. There has to be
Right.
some screening, in my opinion. In my opinion.
This could be something that we can look at later. Of course, we can put it all up on, they're gonna put it up anyways. We can see what it looks like afterwards.
But it seems to me that all the horses are out of the barn by that time. Not gonna call this back and change something.
Correct. Correct. That's my concern.
So what gets cut when this screens goes up?
Yeah, it would be some serious conversations that we would have as a design team with the owner. Active buildings that are under design right now, planning for summer 2027 construction would be Franklin Elementary, Walker Elementary, Horseman Elementary, and what's the fourth one, Bill? I'm forgetting.
Mitchell.
General Mitchell Elementary.
That's next summer.
Will we have any idea of what would get cut?
So we have a fixed budget that we're working with, right? We have a $70 million budget across the district for all of the projects that we're tackling. So we would have to look at that, is it each school gives back X amount that hasn't been worked on yet? I'm not sure. We haven't really gone that path just yet.
Work in these other schools too that need screening then as well, as we go down the road?
I don't anticipate, Irving is unique in our district. The way this footprint is, the sprawl of the building, the height of the building is a little bit different. Now Walker is, it's a single story building as well. We have a different solution in mind there because of the existing conditions there. Mitchell already has cooling. We're just upgrading components there. We don't have to solve it in the same way. That's a single story building as well. The other buildings we just talked about are 3-story buildings, completely different concept and arrangement of how we would cool those buildings, heat and cool those buildings. So this is truly a one-off in the district. I don't anticipate we're going to be coming back to you again for 8 more buildings like this. It is a unicorn, unfortunate unicorn, but it is, right?
Before we say yes or no or whatever, I'd like to know what gets cut. I'd like to know the discussion. You say, okay, if this screening has to go in, what gets cut from the other schools? Sure.
Is there any further discussion relative to this item?
Not on my side. I made my comments clear.
May I ask a question?
Yes, I'm sorry.
May I ask a question?
Yeah, sure, please.
How does the screening?
And who are you?
I'm Michael Zolke, just a West Dallas resident.
All right.
How does this differ from no screening at the Rev overlooking the railroad tracks?
It's a tall building.
Well, there's still, you look out your window and you got trains going past and everything. How is this, and how many units is that? And just as a.
You're talking about HVAC, like heating and cooling systems on the rooftop or?
Well,
within the
versus train tracks and trains, I don't know. Just comparing the two,
Yeah, well, in that case, it's just a tall building and it's a housing development. There is landscaping that's been put in along and fencing as part of that development.
Cause there's apartments on the back facing the tracks and that they're really not looking over anything pretty.
Well, they get a beautiful view of Miller Park and the Hone Bridge and they take that into account.
I get it.
Yeah. So,
But whatever, it's just, that's.
Yeah, so, but that's a different type of deal, and then I guess we're talking about here. This is, people go to school here, but it's also, there's a neighborhood. around it that's, you know, looking at this and it's just taking into account the context. That's the reason why we're recommending some screening.
Thank you. So do we have a motion?
If you could tell me what it is.
Pardon me?
If you could tell me what the motion is.
Well, it looks like
There's
maintain no screening, this sounds like.
Is there a staff recommendation at all?
Yeah.
Is that like the last page of this?
our sit up here. So rooftop screening of major sightlines in accordance with our design guidelines. Minimizing direct view of new rooftop mechanicals and ductwork and to minimize sound levels towards adjacent residential and the surrounding neighborhood. The emphasis we're promoting in our recommendation here is the primary street frontages of 102nd Street and West Grant Street. So I guess if we were to take a look at, you know, the options that were
Would be the mid option.
probably the mid option. Now certainly there's a cost associated with that in this particular workup. But we're willing to take a look at other methods of, you know, opacity. If there's a lighter system or a lot more cost-effective system. Maybe it's a series of panels that sort of just break up the extent rather than a continuous wrap. We're open to ideas. And we're willing to work with the school district and their team.
Yeah, I think it's somewhere in the middle and, you know, maybe you brought, you know, the colors, maybe there is some opportunity for like play in the mural with, you know, some, and not just as lifeless metal. You know, what they presented was pretty harsh for the screen. I think there is something that is more thought out that could be architecturally complementary to the neighborhood. So I think there's, you know, working back and forth with them, I think there is an option to make it more welcoming.
So what you were just reading, the prior one.
Yep.
Does that meet your concern listed on page 3, which is the staff's opinion, the investment should also factor more emphasis upon screening?
Yes.
That does it?
Yeah.
So that's our motion.
Yes, please. I mean, the frontages of 102nd Street, north to south, 102nd Street, and then Grant Street would be our two elevations that we would want to see some plan for screening of those rooftops.
Eric, do you have that?
I've been listening. Yes, I understand the motion.
Okay.
Yes. Or what's being proposed. Yes.
So do we have a motion?
Motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second
What are we motioning on that exact,
on this right here?
on the second one there, the second amount?
Yeah.
Well, not the dollar amount. The dollar amount can certainly.
Well, no, I'm just saying, are we looking at optional screening or does it have to be the screening that you're showing up on screen?
No, we're willing to work on options with the school.
So,
district.
so motion to,
This is an.
for optional,
Artist rendering.
okay, so for optional screening. Move, approval for optional screening. I don't know,
Screening the
screening,
102nd and Grant.
Yeah, the two, the south and the east.
So I guess, yeah, we'd like to see
some kind of breakup.
a revised plan submitted to the planning department to show some other desired, or not desired, but other options towards screening Grant Street elevation as well as 102nd elevation.
Do we have a second?
I can agree to that.
Yes.
Do we have a second?
Second, based off of what Steve said.
We have a motion and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. Let's move on. Thank you.
Need one clarification. I know there's other items this evening too. Would that be then additional staff conversation and it would be staff specific conversation, or would there be a future plan commission submittal that we would be making with an
What we'd
updated
like to do
option?
is, I mean, I think what I heard is that plan commission is willing to give us the leeway to work it out with you.
Yes.
Yes.
And if, I guess we don't agree, then we come back. But
I mean,
I think our push though is we want to advance the permit so that moves along, and then we'll continue to work on the screening aspect of it. things considered.
Understood. Thank you for the clarification.
Thank you. Number 10, sign plan for those church, and existing religious institution at 6229 West Greenfield Avenue. Who's got this? Emily, thank you.
Could I just interrupt, Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
I believe we have Brian. Are you Brian?
Yes.
Carries for speech.
Yeah.
That petition had his item moved. That's number, I believe 11,
All right.
moved out of order just so we can get out of here earlier.
That's fine. We'll take care of number 11 next. Strike everything else I've said. And we'll go to sign plan appeal for Curious Krispies that proposed food production use at 8801 West National Avenue. Sir, thank you for your patience. Who's got this one?
I have it.
All right.
As you've seen earlier earlier this year, we have Carrie's Krispies moving to this location on 8801 West National Avenue. Tonight, we're looking at their request for a sign plan. They are presenting a beautiful mural on the across the front facade of the building facing National Avenue. Murals broken up into two different locations, essentially. You have the black portion of the mural, which is shown in that red outline showing Carrie's Krispies, the advertising for the business. And then you have the blue teal portion that's shown in yellow on here that shows decals of the business products itself and the process of making the Carrie's Krispies. The area exceeds the maximum square footage allowed per code, but President allows larger than typically allowed signs for mural type signage under the creative sign code. The artist of the plan and the design company is Sydney Michuda, who has experience in other businesses in Milwaukee in the area. Based on the proposed design, we agree that the applicant has met the requirements for the creative sign, but we do have on our interpretation of the creative sign code, we do have a concern with just the portion of the lower windows here, as it covers what we consider a main portion of the architectural features of the building. The applicant has expressed a disagreement with that interpretation, stating that it's essentially utilized for coverage for employee safety and security, as employees may be working late at night and people and cars may peer into the business. They provided a depiction of the windows that will be covered on the interior, and the overall coverings are there within their argument. The overall coverings still provide natural light through the top row of windows. And if the applicant would like to speak more on that determination from staff, the Plan Commission does have the discretion in this matter to decide if the window tint is appropriate or not. If the applicant would like to speak, or if Plan Commission would like to speak on that matter, that'd be appreciated.
Yeah, so basically we have 13 windows going there. Windows 1 through 3 would be windows to a cash register, kind of a checkout area. Not technically at eye level because it is 2 steps down, but definitely visible in there. Windows 4 and 5 are to a stairway. It's to a bathroom. You look into a bathroom. None of it is really a retail area. And then windows 6 through 13 are the most important ones. That's directly into our kitchen. That is 2 steps up inside of the building, and it's not quite at eye level to the sidewalk, but it is visible. There are people that look in there while we're in there now, because there is some old vertical blinds that we're gonna be taking down. But once those are down, it's free range to come in there and to see a working kitchen, racks. There's gonna be a closet that's gonna be covering one of the windows, specifically window number 6. So I'm just asking for privacy reasons in there. None of it's really retail. There is other retail windows around the edge, but unfortunately they're higher windows that don't really see into the building. We don't plan to cover any other windows besides what's proposed right here. Those would be a vinyl covering to the windows with perforated holes so that we could see out, but people can't see in. So we'll allow sunlight into our, right now our kitchen is very dark, so we're looking to add light. So our purpose is not to block anything. We do like the natural light, which is what the top windows get us. There's also windows on the other side of the building, kind of just standard house windows, that allow light in there, but we feel like that's high enough that we don't need to cover those. It just leads to our parking lot. So the below portion of the is going to be hand painted, and then the windows will be covered in a vinyl. Perforated vinyl, to be exact. It's going to tie in a little bit to the mural without, so there will be some runoff from the mural that will be designed into that, as you can kind of see in the picture.
Steve, if we approve this variation, what kind of issues are we creating for ourselves going forward?
Well, I mean, there's always the chance that somebody's gonna look at this and say, well, I want to do the same thing. I'm glad to hear that they are the perforated.
Oh, yeah.
That at least there's the allowance for some natural light and you can see out. We're always, I mean, we like that exchange between inside and outside. I know these windows are up a little higher. I think you'd have to be a little over 6 feet tall to peek in. I wouldn't be able to, sure.
You
But
can peek in, if you, the farther like sidewalk ways,
yeah,
you can see into the
Okay.
kitchen, because I was, before I
sure.
saw that, but I mean, yeah, if you're next to the building, you'd have to,
Yeah.
I can barely see in
I
there.
mean, the overall composition, I mean, with the building color, the new mural, I mean, that's a welcome change to a use that's gone now, an older building. So this is a fantastic reuse. It's gonna be a vibrant spot on our National Avenue. Fits perfectly in terms of the use and the vibrancy we wanna see along National. I guess from the staff perspective, we were just hoping for maybe a little bit more of a look, to continue to look like a window versus a painted over or covered up window. One of the things I was gonna mention is maybe even if it could be maybe something that could still offer some privacy, but maybe still have maybe the same characteristic or color of the clear glass, allowing some maybe interference or opacity. Maybe just not in that, maybe it's just not in that blue color. Maybe it's just a grayish or sort of a darker, maybe something that blends in more with the look of a window. I mean, that was gonna be our thought. That would help maybe sort of soften the look a little bit, but
Would it look weird if it was a wait on?
So I was actually thinking about that.
I just don't know if it would look weird.
So what we could cut off is we could cut off windows 1 through 5 if necessary. Like I said, that goes 2 steps down inside of the building. So it's really not, so when I'm standing inside of the building, the windows are right above the top of my head. Can't really see in there at those. If that would, otherwise, if we would get rid of 1 through 3, it kind of creates a weird colors and whatnot. I feel like 1 through 5, it kind of with the top part, it kind of comes down. Well, that was an option that I kind of thought of where it doesn't look so choppy. We would take out that and then we would just leave those windows as is.
Yeah.
Be some sort of gradient or something else, it's more opaque on the bottom, and as you move up, it could
Yeah.
have that color, but it wouldn't be
like
as dense as
the
you would.
faded sunglasses or whatever.
Yeah, or something like that. I think like the idea of keeping that, I think doing all or nothing, I think is what we have to do here. And I think like keeping that consistent, I think across all those things would look nice.
So gradient as it goes up, it, gets lighter.
Dissipates at the top, it's the kind of what you were saying, like half and half. Yeah.
That would be.
So, I mean, the recommendation we wrote up was for, those upper windows to be removed and sort of fit in with our, the design characteristics that Jack explained during his presentation. But I guess we're willing to look at some different ideas as well.
So Steve and Jack and the applicant, are you willing to work this through?
Yeah, I could. Yeah, as long as, I'll have to go in there and kind of see what kind of sightline at exactly what point of the window, I'm a tall guy, so I don't feel like
if you can't see it for me, then, you know, I think we'd be okay. I would definitely be willing to explore that, you know. I think that,
Would we be approving this on the condition that you folks continue to talk and finalize? Is that right? Steve?
Yep, yes, sir. Yep.
Jack?
Yep.
So condition number 2 that we have, and we could strike out removed, and keep revised. I think that gets to the intent of the, discussion that we'd have with the, applicants.
On that basis, do we have a motion?
I'll move.
Motion to approve.
A motion, do we have a second? Any further discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. That motion passes. Thank you. We'll move on to back to number 10. Thank you.
I'm on number 9. All right.
Yes, Miss Emily.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We are just generally looking at a sign appeal for Epicos Church at 6229 West Greenfield Avenue. An existing landmark religious institution within West Allis. We've seen a few projects from them over the last year. This one is specifically pertaining to signage, only because they had a closure of a Sherman Park Epicos location. So they really just have this extra sign. They would like to put it somewhere, and this building potentially makes the most sense for them in terms of placement and, you know, just maintaining a very centralized location in West Allis. The master signage program regulations essentially allow for up to 200 square feet for buildings between 25,000 and 50,000 square feet in area. But ultimately, whatever you folks choose to approve, it is subject to your approval, so you can approve any number of square footage for the sign. For the existing signs, we have 4 signs in total, which equal around 200 square feet. You know them, you love them, they're iconic, they're existing on site already. And the laptop did just lose power. Congratulations. I can tell you folks though, the Sherman Park sign, which is going to be located along the Greenfield Avenue side of the building, is 35 square feet in area. You slap that on a building of this size, quite frankly, it doesn't look ginormous. It looks pretty reasonable in nature. Now they are proposing a couple of options as to whether it would be located a bit closer to the roof line versus centrally on the building. We wanted them to throw a couple options out there just for your perusal and approval, though their preferred option is option number 1, closest to the roof line along Greenfield Avenue. That one does have the best presence. To us, under staff review, it makes the most sense. But overall, we are recommending approval for 235 square feet of signage. No other conditions involved. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions for Emily? Is there a motion?
I guess we talk about this pretty much every meeting.
Pardon me?
I guess we talk about this signage thing pretty much every meeting of, you know, did we set the precedent and going over or not? You know, there's not even been some discussion tonight on some other projects about setting the precedent here, I guess. Is that the road we want to go down? I guess
We're going down a lot of roads.
yeah.
Well, if you wanted, I mean, the unique things about this building is that it does have the 2, you know, double fronting National Greenfield Avenue. So it's
Street front.
unique corner. I mean, faces the intersection of 6 points. Then it's also fairly sizable building, historic building with multiple tenants. So
Yeah, just throw it out there.
Put a different variance on other buildings, so.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, I know, I'm just.
I mean, if it's.
oh, I think Eric's sharing his.
Oh,
that's oh, it's Jack. Thanks, Jack.
It is, Eric looks weird. Sorry. Next bedroom. We have put variants on different iconic things in West Dallas, right? Yeah. So I think.
All of that said, do we have a motion?
I would move to approve.
I second.
Yeah, that's the picture I saw. Yeah, that one. I mean, that's.
Is that where that's going?
Yeah.
That is the preferred option.
That's,
Yes.
yeah. Okay.
We have a motion. We have a second. Further discussion? There being none, those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Unopposed, motion passes. Thanks for getting through this. We have a presentation by somebody relative to stuff. Project tracking. Is that you, Jack?
We didn't have any slides, and it's because we thought the time would be exceeding as. If you'd like to,
That happened an hour ago.
does anybody have any questions on any specific projects?
I do not, Jack.
I know.
Would the plan commission like to be informed in the future about ribbon cuttings and things like that? I mean, they usually happen during the daytime, but we could certainly invite you.
Sure, invite everybody.
Sure, I think that's fine.
We move to adjourn?
The motion to adjourn, is there a second?
Favor.
Have a second?
All right, got it.
Yeah. First and second, those in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned. It's 9 o'clock.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Great, thanks, Eric.
Yeah.